When you act as a beginner, learning something new that you don't know the rules, this lack of boundaries can lead to the new ideas and innovation. So definitely you're breaking this standard rules. And I really like to think and apply this.
Today, I'm excited to welcome Rodrigo Picoli to the show. Now, Rodrigo, as you'll hear, is actually probably better pronounced Rodrigo or something like that. He's originally from Brazil, and I thought he actually still lived in Brazil, but he actually he lives in South Carolina now, as you'll hear in the opening part of the podcast. But really enjoyed this episode. So Rodrigo and I connected over LinkedIn, like most of my podcast guests, and I seem to. And he was telling me about how he's so new to Lean, and he's such a beginner and this and that. And so I didn't know what to expect. You know, I love having everybody with all kinds of experience come onto the podcast. But then here comes Rodrigo, and he honestly blew me away, and with some really interesting ideas. And he's talking about, you know, how many times we've said scientific thinking on this podcast? It's probably a million. But he brought a whole new he brought a different lens to the podcast, and I saw things that I've thought about for many years in a totally different way. And so I was really impressed with Rodrigo, and really appreciated his humility and also just his wisdom. And he mentions he's a younger guy, but boy, I think the future is so bright for Mr. Rodrigo. So anyhow, the topic of the day was really adapting to the future, and so we talk about kind of like Industry 4.0, automation, and all kinds of stuff. But really, just I think you're going to love this episode. So go ahead and listen to the whole thing. And in the beginning, I kind of screwed up. I got ahead of myself, and I didn't even ask him about his background until a little later. Yeah, but anyhow, it's all in there, and it's real and raw, if you will. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. So show notes for this episode can be found over at gembapodcast.com. This is going to be episode 321. Again, gembapodcast.com, and look for episode 321. Okay, enough from me. Let's get to the show. All right, Rodrigo, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Hi,
All right.
Bruno. Thanks for having me here on the show.
Oh, no, my pleasure. No, I know I called you Rodrigo, and I know you're from Brazil, so it's probably more accurate to call you like Rodrigo or something like this, or because you don't say the R, right?
Yeah, Rodrigo, it's fine. Yeah. As everybody here call me Rodrigo, and I'm used to this. And Brazil is a bit different, but that's okay.
Well, I used to go. I used to spend some time in Brazil in my one of my past jobs, and I remember I had we had an ID badge, and it had my name on there, and they put my full name Ronald, and I remember my friend Sydney Morgado. I remember him very well. He's good, really good guy. One day we were in the factory, and he says, all of a sudden I hear something like, Arnold. And I'm like looking around, I'm like, and he, Arnold, and I'm like, well, as I saw he's yelling at me, I'm like, what? He goes, Arnold, I was like, what are you? Oh, Ronald, he's calling me.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. Well, anyhow, so what part of Brazil are you from?
I'm from São Paulo.
Mm-hmm.
This is the south. South of Brazil.
Yep.
I'm from a city, my hometown is called Sorocaba.
Okay.
And I'm born and raised there.
Nice. Well, hey, I really appreciate you coming on to the show. Rodrigo, I'm glad we connected over LinkedIn and had a few exchanges that way. And so as you know, Rodrigo, I know you listen to the show. We like to begin all of our episodes with our guests sharing a quote or two. Do you have one that you like?
Yeah, I have a specific one that I really like it. It's saying, how much I know today, it's less important than how much I'm learning. This is one of my favorite quotes.
What's that mean to you?
Basically, that means that the yesterday's knowledge would not be enough to solve tomorrow's problems.
Mm-hmm.
So we are living on all this dynamic world, all the situation that we insert. So my understanding is stop learning is not an option.
Mm-hmm.
So we should continue craving for knowledge and prepare ourselves to solve tomorrow's problems. So
yeah.
And I understand as far I'm learning, I'm adapting myself into the new world.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, so today, Rodrigo, we're going to kind of focus on the topic of continuous improvement and adapting to the future, which obviously in these times we're all getting a lot of practice on adapting to different ways of living and behaving and interacting with one another. So, but I want to, I guess, focus in on continuous improvement and in the future. So, first question I have for you is, what are you seeing, or what are your opinions as far as how industries are changing today?
I think in two specific topics that how industry is changing. Yeah, I think first point is all the industry 4.0. And I'd say we are in the middle of all this revolution, all of this industrial revolution, all this combination of automation and connectivity. And I like to think that we are living on this transition phase. We are, or in the transformation period, if we will.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the companies are changing, but everything around us is changing, like market, like an industry itself. Our needs are changing with the time. So that is the point, to be more adaptive
Mm-hmm.
with this changings. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One example, I'm working on this automotive companies, and we are seeing how autonomous driving vehicles, how that will reinvent our auto market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a complete new need, and it's leading us into new products and also into new processes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really a great thing that's happening in front of us right now.
Mm-hmm. So I got ahead of myself, Rodrigo, and I apologize, but I got so excited about talking about our Portuguese and all the rest of it that I realized after the call I didn't even really allow you the opportunity to tell us about your background. So how about we back up and before we go forward on the topic of the future and adapting to the future, but tell us a little bit about your background. Obviously started in Brazil, but let's talk about how you first came to learn about continuous improvement and your career progression.
Okay. So as I said, I'm working in an automotive company since 2008 when I started. That was the same time I started the university. The University of Mechanical Engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lean came into my life in 2010 when I moved my internship from a manufacturing engineer into a Lean office inside the same company. And everything was new for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember back on that time, my manager, he suggests me some Lean books to start learn a little bit more about Lean. And I remember the first book that I read was Learn to See from John Chook and Michael Ruther.
Yes.
Yeah. And start to thinking about all the value streams, and
mm-hmm.
was quite nice. And my first big project there, as an intern, was a pool system implementation. I remember that on a company with more than 2,000 employees. There it was really challenge, and it was quite nice. And then on my end of my internship, I had an opportunity to travel to Germany, and I finished my internship there on the headquarters of the company, on their Lean office. And understanding and comparing all the difference between Brazil Lean office and Germany Lean office was a really interesting period for me. And then back in Brazil in 2013, then I officially started as engineer working into the Lean office till 2017 when I moved here for United States.
Mm-hmm.
This is my current position here. As I'm also responsible for a Lean office here in North America, and we have some sites on United States, Canada, and Mexico. And
so I want to go back to something you said. It was interesting to me was when you mentioned the comparing the Lean office in Brazil with the German Lean office. So I wonder if you could maybe tell us a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about what you saw was different or good or bad or indifferent between the two different approaches.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, the main difference was culture, right? In Brazil, we had a completely different culture from Germany. However, in Brazil, it seems like we like to make the things happen maybe a little bit fast or faster than the German guys. So maybe not that we jump into conclusions so fast, but we go do it and check and act and again. And maybe German guys doing more planning. They like to plan a lot. And I think that was the main difference between Germans and Brazilians. Yeah, Germans, they really put focus. If you're thinking on the PDCA cycles, their P cycle or the P phase of the PDCA cycle takes a longer than a Brazilian PDCA. Let's put it that way. And for us, we jump maybe into the do more fast, and that is I would point as the main difference.
So what about these crazy Americans that you're working with now? When you add them into the mix, what would you say is the contrast between German, Brazilian, and American?
It seems like here in America we are merge of Brazilian and German. It seems like we are not taking so long to plan as German guys, but not so fast as the Brazilians.
Yeah.
But we are in a good pitch.
Just right is what you're trying to say. Just right.
Just right. Yeah. Well, I'm still learning. I'd say I'm still learning all this culture difference.
Yeah. And I think it's really good and really valuable for really the formation of anyone learning anything is to go to different cultures and see how they go about it. And,
yes,
I remember going to Japan for the first time and thinking that everywhere I was going to go was going to be this lean mecca, and let me tell you, it's not, I mean, there's a lot of very unlean things in Japan, now, of course, there's some really, really, really awesome, amazing things also, but it's not that just because you're in Japan, you're automatically born lean, you're not. So, but no, I think just seeing different cultures and different approaches is super valuable.
Nice.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's talk a little bit about back into the whole idea of adapting to the future. Talk a little bit about your thoughts on the role continuous improvement is going to play in adapting into these new realities, whether it's Industry 4.0, more automation, different age demographics, right? Millennials and all the rest of it coming to one day run the world, right? And so, so what do you see? Where do you see continuous improvement playing a role?
Okay, so I like to mention something that I've read not so long ago. This is Oxford paper. It's calling The Future of Employment, and it was really interesting. It's really catch my attention to. They just developed an algorithm to assess the probability of professions to be automated on the next 30 years. And the results was really interesting. It seems like 47% among 702 professions that they study have shown like 70% of chance to be replaced by a computer. So it seems like half of the professions are in this on check to be replaced for a computer on the future. And another results also coming out from this study, it seems like the professions that deal with people, such as teaching, healthcare, management position, have less chance of being replaced. So it seems like, for me, this is my opinion on the study, that machines cannot yet perform all human beings' special skills, let's put it in that way, like feeling, care, touch. So my point of view is the future is dealing with people will be a key for professions. So, and how continuous improvement will impact on this, it seems like continuous improvement will play an essential role inside companies during this transition. More regard adaptiveness, and the only the only real stability, in my point of view, is learning how to deal with this instability or uncertainty. And this is bring us to scientific thinking, from Kata.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like to quote Michael Ruther on his book Toyota Kata.
Mm-hmm.
There's a question he asked, what does it make a company adaptive? And in general words, it's saying pursuing continuous improvement and adaptiveness. And it seems like the companies have a tendency to see continuous improvement as only improving process.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, better process are the results of continuous improvements, that's for sure. But more and more, it seems it's people are the key. Yeah, they are behind of the process. I like the idea that the process are just the results of what people do.
Mm-hmm.
And when we focus developing people and teach them how to adapt and learning, this is continuous improvement. This is the real key of the continuous improvement. And the continuous improvement helping into this new world that we are getting into is the companies to achieve adaptiveness, they need to develop in creativity. Yeah, creativity was always there as one of the. If you need continuous improvement, you need creativity.
Mm-hmm.
That's in that point. But I think more and more, we need this creativity be part of our jobs, and that would be essential for companies to adapt into the new worlds, because that my feeling that to finding new solutions for new problems, we will need creativity, and creativity is one of the humans like special skills that cannot be replaced by a computer.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I see like the creativity as maybe just a combination of all pre-existing solutions to solve a new problem.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you mentioned scientific thinking, so I'm wondering, as we're experimenting and we're trying to move forward towards some goal, some target condition, or some long-term challenge, it is an interesting way of looking at that. Is you're creatively designing experiments, right, and
Yes.
seeing what you learn from that experiment. So in a way, to your point, continuous improvement is in fact a way to adapt and to learn and to be creative. So I really like that. That's a different way of thinking about the whole movement that we're in.
I've been reading as well about a Japanese term. I don't know if you've already heard about, is calling shoshin.
Yeah, what's that mean?
It's a Japanese word. It's basically that means thinking with or thinking as a beginner mind.
Yeah.
Or with a beginner mind.
Mm-hmm.
Without any preconcept. That's really used on martial arts in the same way that kata is using.
Mm-hmm.
Shoshin, it's also I did some research about it, and it's using also into this martial arts things. And basically there's 5 steps into this shoshin way of thinking. It's saying the first steps, you have to experience wonder. You have to bring back your imagination, bring back all the exploration possibilities that you can have if you're thinking about solve a new problem or learning something new.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The second step, it's saying about practicing failure. It's we always try to avoid failures. That is my feeling here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we forget that to be successful, first we have to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And how often and fast we fail, close we are from success.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, we're talking about not some big failures here, but it seems
don't want to injure anyone or harm the society. Yeah,
exactly. But it seems like our society, it's if you're reading a book about failure, everybody will judge you. What are you thinking about? You should read a book of success, right?
Go read Tony Robbins. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think we forget sometimes that failure is important. It's part of the process. Yeah. And if you think about the greatest mind of this century, past century, everybody has a really good histories about failures, how they failure in the past. If you take Steve Jobs' history or
Thomas
even
Edison.
Bill Gates. Yeah, Thomas Edison is a really good one, right? And that's going for a third topic that's saying start from empty. When you have assumptions, when you have rules, and we have beliefs, we tied to what we know. So the beauty of learning something new is that we are not limited by any such preconcepts. And then we have this free mind to thinking about maybe a better or a different way to do things. And as a fourth step, it's saying about lower risk or taking on something new. No one expecting you to get it right in the first time. So it seems like you're free of pressure and you can simply experiment. So taking the lower risk, go there, do it, learn, and do it again. And the fifth one that I really like about this, it's break the rules. When I say rules, it's not ethical rules or moral or law, but when you act as a beginner, learning something new that you don't know the rules, this lack of boundaries can lead to the new ideas and innovation. So definitely you're breaking this standard rules. This. And I really like to think and apply this. It's not easy as like a kata. It's require practice. But I think when you combine practicing kata with a shoshin mind, you can do better.
Oh, I like that. You the last one, about breaking the rules, or maybe another way of thinking is don't overthink it. When have you ever done the marshmallow challenge? Where you're building the tower out of spaghetti. Have you ever seen that?
Not really.
Oh, yeah. So you need to Google it, and you would love doing it. It's a fun exercise. Basically, we do it at the beginning of all of our workshops, where you give people some pieces of spaghetti, uncooked spaghetti, so it's hard, and some tape, masking tape, some string, and they have one marshmallow, and so the goal is you have to build this tower out of spaghetti, and then whoever gets the marshmallow on top, and which is whoever has the tallest tower at the end with the marshmallow on the top, they're the winners, right? And what they found, there's a lot of research has gone into this over the years, and they've studied children, like young children, like I'm talking like kindergartners, like really, really young kids. They actually perform extremely well. Like literally the only people that beat them, like across all the different domains that they test, are professional engineers, which is good, right? A professional engineer who understands, structures and pyramids and whatnot, they're the ones they do the best. But kindergartners are like right there, and like CEOs, and they joke like MBA students, they're like the worst, because they're like, all they think about is, they argue and they debate. Earlier you were talking about over planning and stuff. So these people will plan and plan and plan, and there's 18 minutes, I think it is, to do the exercise. And so they'll plan for 15 minutes, and then they have 3 minutes left to just frantically try to build something and pray it doesn't fall over. Whereas kids, they pick up the marshmallow immediately and they just start building, and then they start seeing what works. And it's because their mind is, if you will, I don't know, I don't say empty, but they're not biased, right? And they're not worried about who's in charge at the table. They just all jump in and start trying things. And so I think it perfectly aligns with really what you're saying there.
Right. Yeah, I've read something about it, like the children's, they born creative.
Yeah.
And then once we are growing, they put ourselves inside a box.
Quit asking why so many
concepts.
times, like our kids ask why and we beat it out of them. Don't ask why so much, just because I say so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they are all the time maybe breaking these rules, right?
Yeah.
So
that's right.
That's awesome.
That's right. So,
awesome.
Okay, well, what about as we think about the future as well? Like, what about when we do make improvements? How about sustaining these changes? It's going to be interesting as things like automation and artificial intelligence and all these things kind of become more the norm. Will we sustain changes the same way, or is it going to be that the machine is always trying to find a better way, right?
That's an interesting question, yeah. I mean, I like to think that even with what is coming, we are not changing the way that we have to sustain things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of entropy. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't
always
know if
pulling.
you. Yeah. Related with the second thermodynamic law. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So any organized process naturally tends to decline to chaotic states if you leave it alone. So I think that won't be different in the new companies, the new world that we are seeing in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the answer for that, we need ACT. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think the PDCA cycle like this. The plan and check phase, it sounds like static verbs. It sounds like something that you don't need an action.
Mm-hmm.
But do and act, it sounds like movement verbs for me.
Mm.
So, and then sustain is go through acting, go through what is next.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is the next problem to solve?
Yes.
And I like to think also problem in different meanings. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like problems as maybe always seems as a bad thing, and we have to eliminate the problems. But however, there's some meanings that I like it for problems as challenge or problems as opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
as needs, and anything that demands a solution is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
So we keep moving, keep thinking about what is next. Yeah. I like this idea to training creativity. Yeah. Finding a different way for the same problems, for the same solutions. Yeah. Different solutions for same problems. Do not jump into conclusions so fast. This is what is saying scientific think. So try different solutions. I like the idea to play what if technique. This technique is calling what if. What if that process steps could be combined with that one? What if we can do different here? Yeah, asking what if, and then maybe new ideas, new problems we can solve and move towards these innovations. Yeah.
I like that. So it's almost like you could say, what if? And then someone says, I don't know. Let's see. Let's try.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That's experiment.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I like it.
Nice.
Wow. Well, Rodrigo, I know you said you were nervous about coming on and not an expert or anything like that, but I got to tell you, I've been really enjoyed this. I've learned a lot from you, really, as far as a lot of your ideas, and I've thought of things differently than I ever have. So thank you for coming on like that and for sharing your story.
I'm really glad to hear that, to be honest. Yeah. Thank you to invited me to have this opportunity to share.
Yeah.
Not too much knowledge yet, but this is I like the idea that I'm learning, and as I said on my quote, I'm keep learning. Yeah, I think keep learning is the key for future. Yeah,
for life.
We have to create. Yeah, for life, for sure. Yeah,
yeah.
We have to keep going, keep moving.
Yeah, great. Well, Rodrigo, if someone wants to connect with you, maybe social media or something like that, what's the best way?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Is Rodrigo Picoli, and I'm on Twitter as well.
Picoli, right?
Exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And Rodrigo is Rodrigo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so what we'll do is I'll get you to send me all of your links and we'll put them in. Now you're a young guy, so you're on the Snapchat and Instagram and all that too, aren't you? Don't You tell the truth. No, it's okay.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you want to share all of your links, we'll put them in the show notes. I can't use Snapchat. I'm too old. My daughters won't let me, but I probably should, but
Understood.
Yeah. So, but anyhow, no, I really, really enjoyed talking with you, Rodrigo. Thank you again for coming on. So show notes for this episode, and we'll link to everything that Rodrigo has talked about is going to be on gembapodcast.com. This is episode 321. So just go there and everybody go and connect with Rodrigo, and we'll all keep learning together. How's that?
Perfect.
Great.
Thank you again, Ron, to have me here.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. Well, hey, stay safe out there in South Carolina, and my very, very best to all of your family and friends and loved ones in Brazil.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Whether you've been on the continuous improvement journey for many years, or perhaps you're just getting started, Gemba Academy is here to support you. And while we're best known for our more than 1,500 Lean and Six Sigma teaching and virtual tour videos, we also have a team of experienced Lean and Six Sigma practitioners available for one-on-one coaching, as well as a variety of Lean and Six Sigma certification options. To learn more and to schedule a demo, head on over to gembaacademy.com.